right, we're back another Sunday at 6 o'clock, and you all know what time it is on our Black Media Network. How you guys doing this week?
Doing very good. How's everything down in Savannah, Georgia?
I think it's good on this side. What about your side, Queen?
Very hot. Very hot.
Well, we're having some water problem here in Atlanta, so.
I saw it. What is going on? Did Fonnie Willis just take all the water too?
She probably did. You know, she need all that money to go to her Trump trial, so that's probably the reason why.
Well, it got back to me that, she was high-fiving and having margaritas, and I don't know if that was true or not, but
Well, she says she is more of I think she said she's a Hennessy girl, so I don't think she'll do margaritas.
Oh, okay. So y'all, I know we're going to get to the topic of the night, which I think we all pretty know which direction that topic is going to be. But
before we do that,
we're going to do our first 10, but that's what I was saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about some historic news. So Clint might be very excited about this. Yeah. Libertarian candidate Chase Oliver, right here from the state of Georgia, has been nominated for the Libertarians Party. They're going to be on 37 ballots. He is the first openly gay person to run for president of the United States. I do think that is something to what's up?
He's not the first.
Yeah, he endorsed the campaign last year.
And
excuse me. I think you'll like some of his policies.
I do like some of his policies.
They're automatically bashing him the moment he was nominated. And it has caused a fracture among some libertarians. But I think he was our best hope for a candidate.
Well, he beat 9 other people, so definitely.
Yeah. What is his background? I saw it, but I didn't do a lot of research on him. So what is he? What's his story?
From what I understand, with logistics, a bunch of various jobs. He's been very political for a long time in the Libertarian Party, fighting for ballot access. He helped fight against Cop City, which I was against as well. I'm sure you heard about that in Atlanta.
Right.
He was at the hearings, giving his testimony against Cop City.
Right.
And
he also ran for John Lewis' seat as well after John Lewis passing, even though he did not win.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's right in Atlanta. So he's Atlanta proper.
He also wants to stop the unnecessary gun regulations. His politics is, it's been a lot in a line with what libertarians stand for. The only thing that I ever disagreed with him on was mandates.
Yeah.
And trans children. We disagree on that. But outside of that, we're pretty much on par.
Wait, what's his stance on trans?
He believes that basically if a child and the guardian of the child wants to transition and they're under 18, they should be allowed, and I'm against that.
So typical Atlanta stuff. So that's what he's for. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And as far as the mandates, he supported the mandates, and I didn't. I was against mandates. I believe that if you get vaccinated, it should be between you and your doctor and no one else. You shouldn't lose your job just because you didn't take the vaccine. That's my stance.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So, well, we wish him the best. I think now there are 5 candidates running for president. You got Kennedy, you got West,
yep,
the Trump, you have Biden, and what's this young man's last name?
Chase Oliver.
So, hey, y'all got 5 options, 5 options. So, y'all, I am one of these people who got to visit Dubai, and part of politics and political and public policy is economy itself. I'm gonna play a short clip and just kind of probe your brain before we hop into our main thing real quick, just to get your feedback on what you think in a public policy stance.
Dubai. I'm gonna give the perspective of my American sister and her husband, who have been living in Florida for the past 4 years. They recently visited me here in Dubai. I'm in the beautiful Blue Waters Island with the marina in the background and the beautiful yachts. What is their perspective and the differences between living in Florida and in the United States as a whole versus living here in Dubai? The first thing they mentioned was the taxes. Of course, every US citizen knows that they pay 40%, 50% on taxes. What they couldn't believe is how this country, the UAE, runs without taxes. Yes, you pay a lot for food, you pay a lot for many things, for properties, you pay fees to the government, but you're not losing a percentage of your income. Everybody's paying the same, and then you can make as much as you want. They didn't believe that you could make millions of dollars here without paying taxes. And they don't get anything in exchange for hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes spent over there in the US, specifically in Florida. A lot of people are going to Florida because they're paying too much tax. In other states like California, people are just saving a bit on their money, a few percentage points, but they're still paying 30-something percent, 40% for what? For the streets to have potholes, for not to feel that safe, which was the second thing, is safety. They've never felt so safe in their life, specifically my sister, as a woman here in Dubai at night, walking around, extremely safe. I left my camera on the bench there, went to the bathroom, came back, the camera was still there. They said, how dare you leave the camera there? Somebody's gonna take it in 2 minutes. Not here in Dubai. Specifically in places like Florida or some dangerous areas of Florida, some dangerous areas around the United States, you have to always watch out for people, specifically at night. Here in Dubai, you don't care. You forget to lock your door, it's fine. Nobody's gonna get into your house and steal everything from you. In the US, that is a constant fear. And also in Puerto Rico, because my family's originally Puerto Rican, we lived in Puerto Rico many times, and people are very focused on safety because they don't have any safety over in Puerto Rico. People move to Puerto Rico to save on taxes, but they get their houses broken into. They always have to watch out. They always have to watch out for their kids, for their wives, for your girlfriend. For what? You can live here and be extremely safe. The third main thing that they mention is overall this woke mentality, the new society of the United States and the whole West, Canada, European Union, everywhere, it's all heading downhill. They couldn't believe that here in Dubai, people don't think that way. They don't think with a woke mindset. They were even thinking of not having children in the US because they didn't want their children to grow up in a society where everybody can be whatever they want. You want to be a dolphin, another gender, whatever you want, you can be that. They didn't want to grow children in that environment. But when they came here, they said, here that doesn't exist. They love society.
So I want to be a dolphin. What are y'all thoughts on this?
I know a plastic surgeon who can help you out.
What do y'all think, y'all? I mean, that's
Well, they generate money differently. Rather than getting it through taxes, they just elevate the prices of merchandise and services. So they get the money that way. It's just another form of getting your money, which is a little nicer than taxes, I guess. As far as crime, the laws are a lot more strict in Dubai, and they enforce them. You don't want to dare commit a crime in Dubai. It will be enforced immediately. Whereas in America, at best, you'll go to jail for a couple of nights. In Dubai, it's a lot more extreme than that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Clint. When it comes to crime, I think we need to be a little bit more harsh on violent crimes. Taxes, I mean, people might hate that I say this. I do think it should be a flat tax. Doesn't matter which bracket you fall under. I think the U.S. government's taking too much of people's money. And when it comes to the woke society, I mean, I live in Atlanta, Georgia, so you can already take that for what it is. I mean, it is kind of scary that even I now think about that when I want to have children, like what type of society are they going to grow up in? I mean, are they going to grow up into a society where everybody can just think they can be a cat, a dolphin, a frog, and if you say something, that's against that person's identity or who they identify as, do you have to worry about civil rights lawsuits going against you and your business? It's a lot of things that you have to think about, especially in this new generation. I mean, this new generation is wild as it is. I mean, y'all, it's 11 people in Savannah, Georgia that was killed, injured on May 10th. There just was a shooting here at a strip club here in Atlanta, Georgia. This younger generation is out of control. I think, when it comes to law enforcement, we need to be a little bit harsher on criminals so they know how serious we are. Maybe we should take something from Russia and Dubai when it comes to violent crimes.
Well, there's something we're forgiving. What led to the woke environment was the identity politics. People think that their life has no meaning unless they can be oppressed or they can identify with an ethnicity, a minority, a sexuality. And I'm sorry, but your life has more meaning than who you love. It has more meaning than how you appear. It has more meaning than how you walk or talk. It's your idea.
Or even who you vote for.
Yeah, it's your ideas, it's your personality, it's how you treat others, and it's the inevitable rights that you fight for, not only for yourself, but for all your neighbors. But we have become consumed with, well, I'm crippled, I'm having it worse than you. Well, I'm a woman, I'm having it worse than you. Well, I'm gay, I'm having it worse than you. It's become a competition. What's the next step? Well, I'm a dog. I'm having it worse than you. I'm a dolphin. I'm having it worse than you. That's the next step. And that's how wokeness came about. We became so obsessed with identity, we forgot about ideas, personality, and how you treat other people. Number one. Number two, we have been neglecting the emotionally and the mentally ill, and rather than giving them appropriate treatment with civility, we have been inflaming their delusions.
Yeah.
And making them worse. We have given too much to people who have gender dysphoria. And we've transformed it into a form of, well, that's their civil rights. They're mentally ill. You're making them worse. All you're doing is throwing gasoline on the fire. And plastic surgery, when it pertains to hormone therapy and transitioning, my opinion, and I don't want to enforce this by law, my opinion is that is for the rare occurrence of a baby being born as a hermaphrodite. And that's less than 1%.
Very small.
But I still want it around so that baby can have a sex change with whatever the guardians or the parents select. The bad thing about that is when you're a parent or a guardian and you have a hermaphrodite baby, you can pick the wrong sex and they're messed up for life. So we need therapy in case that happens. And it's not their fault. But like I said, that's less than 1%. Everyone else, gender dysphoria, may need psychiatric treatment. I'm sorry, I know that offends the LGBTQ, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Now, do I want to enact a law?
Yeah.
Not really. My only limit is if you're under 18, no. But if you can't vote until you're 18, and you can't join the military until you're 18, you definitely should not be allowed to change your sex until you're 18. But it's a decision that will affect your entire life. Your opinion?
Well, only thing I agree with everything that you said, Clint. I would just add, I do think we need to put some laws in place for people who are younger, who are trying to make decisions without their parents present. Because some of these doctors are just looking at a dollar sign and not looking at longevity of someone making a very serious decision like that. So I do think we need to put some laws in place. Once you're 18, you can do whatever you want to do, but I don't want doctors or certain people with medical professions to take advantage of someone who really need to have seriously counseling. And the first thing that some of these answers is you need to change your sex. And we shouldn't go down that route. I mean, whatever reason that a child is calling out for help.
Take one. The only law I think we should create is to stop parents or guardians from agreeing to this with their underage child unless they're hermaphrodite. But if they're not a hermaphrodite, even if they are the guardian or the parent, I consider that a form of child abuse. Sorry.
But most of the laws that the LGBTQ whatever levels that we're adding on now, most of the laws that are being passed by most Republican states, they do have what you're saying in there, Clint, when it comes to hermaphrodites. Okay. There is some protection in there for them. Some is a little bit extreme. I think Tennessee is the only one who went far-fetched, as even having adults go through some type of mental treatment before transitioning. I think that's way too far-fetched. If someone over 18 decides that, hey, I want to chop it off, hey, go right ahead.
Chop on
my second complaint, if you want to transition and you're over 18, that's fine, but the taxpayer should not have to pay for it with Medicaid or Medicare or military, medical insurance. I'm sorry, but military benefits such as their medical insurance shouldn't be for transitioning. It should be for hernia, a broke leg, cancer, stuff like that. If you have gender dysphoria, pay for it with your own privatized money. I know that that's going to make a lot of people mad, but you shouldn't put that burden. You shouldn't put that burden on the taxpayer.
Well, I think honestly, I would consider all three of us as moderates, and I think a lot of moderates would agree with that position. I think you have people on the extreme left who just believe in a utopia that does not or will never exist.
Well, here's where I'm not libertarian. I think the poverty-stricken, I think the handicapped and the disabled should get Medicare and Medicaid, but I don't think everybody should get it. And this is what upsets people. I think what we need to do is shrink Medicare and Medicaid, and the people who are not disabled, handicapped, or poverty-stricken, they should be allowed to get privatized medical insurance for lower rates the way they used to in the 70s before the rates became insane.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we're going to hop to a commercial, then we're going to come back with a video and get into our main topic. But great start to the evening.
Come out to Port Wentworth on June 21st and celebrate Juneteenth with us. Bring the kids, your family, and your friends and enjoy a day of entertainment, history, culture, and fun. Don't forget, the Port Wentworth Juneteenth Festival is June 21st in Port Wentworth.
Today, unrepentant, defiant, and casting himself as the aggrieved one, as newspapers across the country proclaimed a New York jury's finding of guilt against the former president in his falsified documents trial. Today at Trump Tower, the very place the crimes at the heart of the case took place, Mr. Trump stood before gathered reporters and some supporters. In what appeared to be an unscripted monologue, he railed against the judge, called the trial unfair and rigged, and without evidence accused President Biden of being behind it. Complaints picked up by many of Mr. Trump's supporters tonight. President Biden, in his first post-verdict comments, pointed out the jury's unanimous verdict and warned it is reckless to say the system is rigged. It's where we begin tonight with Hallie Jackson.
Donald Trump, defiant as ever, railing against the dubious history he's made as the first former president convicted of felonies.
If they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone.
As supporters outside Trump Tower flew a flag reading Trump or death, inside, Mr. Trump insisted he'd wanted to take the stand in his own defense. He had the choice and chose not to.
I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify, because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify, because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong.
Then a laundry list of false claims, grudges, and grievances, including against the Democratic prosecutor who won the case against him.
It's a very sad thing that's happening in our country. And it's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one.
The verdict galvanizing the GOP behind him, the Trump campaign saying they raised a massive $35 million online in the hours after the conviction came down. And with Republicans rallying around him, there's virtually no chance he'll be kicked off the presidential ticket.
This was a political smear job. This was an attack job. This is what you see in banana republics.
I think Trump benefits from this. I think they elected him president last night.
I do believe the Supreme Court should step in.
Very few breaking ranks, not even Mike Pence, who's refused to endorse his former running mate, calling the conviction a disservice to the nation. Democrats disagree.
The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed.
President Biden, who's kept his distance from Mr. Trump's legal problems, speaking today from the White House.
It's reckless. It's dangerous. It's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down.
Give me
One New York Democrat dancing in celebration on TikTok after the verdict. Others arguing the conviction shows the system worked.
I felt some relief and vindication for the rule of law.
The verdict, unprecedented. Its impact, unclear in a race already unpredictable.
Do you think this conviction helps Trump in the election?
Only about 3 in 10 voters in key battlegrounds say they've been following Mr. Trump's legal issues closely.
I don't even know what he got convicted for.
Some 10 to 20% of independents suggest they'd be less likely to vote for Mr. Trump if convicted, even as 2/3 of all voters say a guilty verdict wouldn't make a difference. A hypothetical before, but a reality now for voters in battleground states.
My immediate response was finally accountability. I believe Mr. Trump has broken the law.
I think it's been a witch hunt since the very beginning.
Hallie joining me here in the studio. The former
powerful stuff. Now, let me begin with this. I think, I really think this is a seesaw thing. We're going to be on a seesaw until we get to November. My initial thoughts are this. Here's my thing. He should have never been a nominee, and I'll tell you why. Dante, I'll go back to some comments you made before. He's never been convicted of anything, so I don't understand what's going on. Well, he's now convicted. He is a felon. But how can you, when Hillary just had some doggone emails, I think it was Trump that said, we don't want somebody in the presidency that's indicted, indicted. So help me make sense of y'all.
So I'll start with that one, Clint. Number one, even though Trump did say that and a lot of his supporters say that, the thing is they actually didn't do anything behind it once they became in power, unlike Joe Biden has. Honestly, this is a stupid trial that that has gone forward. It really should not have even went to court. I mean, let's think about this. If this was not Donald Trump, would this have happened to anybody else? They were already past the statute of limitations anyway, and they still went forward with this. They have a stupid gag order on someone who cannot talk about his own trial, but the judge tells the jury after he was convicted that they can talk about the trial, but Trump still can't talk about the trial. I mean, if you don't like him, that's fine, and that's your opinion. But I think going through this court system to really take Trump out the game is not going to do nothing, because it hasn't really persuaded people in any way. Like you said, it's going to be an up and down balance. If you thought one way about Trump, if you wanted Trump to be guilty, you're happy about it. If you didn't want Trump not to be guilty, you're upset about it. So it's really not going to change anybody's opinion. I do think it's going to have the opposite effect of what Democrats is hoping for, because a lot of independents and a lot of moderates, even Nikki Haley supporters who were on the fence, have now come over to Donald Trump because they really see that this is, excuse my language, bullshit.
Well, Clint,
allegedly. Let's break this down. Let's literally break this down. He allegedly had sex with a porn star. He did not want that information to come out. So he had his attorney he had his attorney to draft up an NDA to shut her mouth, not to go to the press and talk about it, which a lot of celebrities do. That's the whole basis of everything. And he put down under a legal expense, because that's what his attorney was helping him do. Legal expense. If we're talking about somebody trying to persuade an election, we can also be upset at Joe Biden, who said during the 2020 debate that he knew that the Hunter Biden laptop story was a lie. Not only did he say that was a lie, he even cited intelligence agency officials who said that as well. Well, fuck, that persuaded the election at that time too, because a lot of people believed him. But what do you know? We now have pictures of Hunter Biden smoking crack, talking to hookers, and everything that they said didn't exist.
All right. Let me interject.
Clint, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
He started with, I think the story started with, the newscast started with his disdain for the judge. The judge, y'all, and this is why this is Clinton, I want you to speak this. The judge didn't convict you. 12 of your peers convicted you. That's where I have to, we got to tie into that. 12 of your
watching the trial.
Counts of something. So help me, it's not the judge's fault.
Okay, hold on. I'll take this one. The judge changed the rules. Okay, right. Before this ever came to trial, it went from a misdemeanor to all of a sudden campaign finance became a felony. Okay, That's number one. Now, number two, during the trial, the judge changed the rules and told the jury it didn't have to be unanimous.
Right.
As long as it was a majority vote, it'd be guilty. They didn't all have to agree. In other finance campaign trials, it has to be a unanimous vote by the jury. So the judge did change the rules. Last but not least, let's not forget the Clinton campaign committed financial crime. And you know what it was? It was a misdemeanor and they paid it. Clinton himself, when he was president, committed campaign financial crime.
He got hit.
It was a misdemeanor. He paid it. Hold on. And he lost his license to practice law. Okay. Other presidents have committed these misdemeanors and they paid a fine, but now it's a felony. So the rules were changed before the court case ever began, and during the court case, the judge changed the rules of how the jury can make a decision. So,
honestly,
they just want to go up and up here.
Democrats just want to walk around and call Donald Trump a convicted felon. I mean, if that's going to serve their little, the tickle in their orgasm just to call him a convicted felon.
That's a perfect term for now.
I mean, it's not going to do anything. He's going to be the 47th president because the only thing you're doing is playing into his argument from the very beginning. He said that this system is rigged. And the more the Democrats keep trying to rally up these bogus charges against him, you're playing right in his argument. You people can't even beat Donald Trump on the issues because they have an incompetent person who looks dead, can't speak, always falling. And my list can go on how people aren't even backing Joe Biden. They can't back him. So the only thing that they can talk about that's relevant is Donald Trump. Because talking about Joe Biden is a crime.
Let me make another observation. Okay. Whether you know it or not, we created this problem. We gave Donald Trump attention. We focused on Donald Trump, and here's why. Donald Trump makes ratings. Negativity makes ratings. So the media, whether it's legacy or online, all they think about is more views. And because of that, they turned Donald Trump into a powerhouse. They really did. If we had just shut up after he walked out of the White House, he wouldn't have been forgotten. I'm sorry, but he would have been. So
and then Nikki Haley would have been the nominee.
Republicans and Libertarians, we made Donald Trump the focus of everything we said, and we gave him popularity. It's our fault. I'm sorry, but it's our fault. Your turn. All right.
Go ahead, Brian.
Well, I was going to say, so what do y'all think? Just hypothetically saying that the sentence is jail time. I mean,
well, now it's a felony, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, my opinion, throw him in jail. I want them to throw him in jail because it's going to make him be president. And I mean, more people will go out and vote for him. I mean, if that's what y'all ultimately want to do, you got his mugshot, you got him convicted as a convicted felon, well, then throw him in jail. I mean, if you hate him that much, throw him in jail. Let's start dancing around this, and Democrats should actually accomplish what they're setting out to do. Put him in jail. That makes everybody happy. Go ahead and do it. But the only thing it's going to do, his poll numbers are going to continue to inch up more and more and more and more as you do this.
And there's something that we're missing. After Donald, let's say hypothetically he gets elected, all right? After he's out of office, this can be done to a Democrat. They can bring the Democrat up for the same charges, and now it's a felony. When in the past, when the misdemeanor, all that was necessary was a fine, and presidents were not, destroyed. They had immunity. Now there's no more immunity. A president can be sued or thrown in jail for every decision they ever made as the president.
Honestly, Clinton, the way how I feel, the way how Democrats are acting, since they want to play the dirty game, we should play the dirty game. Trump is going to be the 47th president. And when he do become the 47th president, the cocaine that was found in the White House, they should find out who it belonged to. and find some way to just tag it back to Joe Biden. Let's just do that, because since that's what we're doing here, we're going after political opponents. I mean, I thought that some of
I don't
Let
want
Joe
this
blow.
country.
Joe can blow.
I don't want this country wasting millions of dollars persecuting ex-presidents. We have better things to do. And if we go along this path, we're going to be eating up and throwing in court Clinton, Bush, Biden, every president that's still alive is going to be in court.
Well, watch this, y'all.
Taxpayers' money.
I'll go back to what you said, Clinton, and you were right. I think we opened Pandora's box.
Yeah.
Because even honestly, if you look at it, at every level of the court, it's now this conversation about what do we do with presidents if. And I think you're right. We should have left it alone. We should have just made an example of the general citizens around January 6th or whatever that date was, and left it alone. Now you got to figure out what the hell is what's immunity? How far do we go with immunity? That's a question I don't even think we can answer.
Not to mention, no one's going to want to run for president if they can be thrown in jail for every decision they make as president.
Right. And it's going to be I think the biggest Pandora's box is, one, why do I have to show my financial earnings? Why does it have to do anything? Two, am I going to be scrutinized on everything that should be an executive level deal? So if I call Putin and have a conversation, am I going to be scrutinized? And three, every decision I make is going to be under a microscope. I don't know if that's truly me being the leader of the free world.
And that kind of hinders the ability of any person to do their job at the executive branch. If they have to be scrutinized with every step, they can't make a decision or get anything done. And we already have enough backlog in Congress and in the executive branch as it is. We don't need more backlog and more red tape.
That's it.
Well, so, honestly, this is what the Democrats wanted.
I'm going to do a quick commercial break. When we come back, I want you all to take the role of Trump's campaign manager. What will you do in these next couple of months to prepare him, and what will be your strategy? So we'll be back in just a moment.
Have you ever experienced a Juneteenth event? Come out to Port Wentworth and celebrate our second annual Juneteenth Festival. Friday, June 21st from 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. Come enjoy our music, our food, our heritage, our culture, and our history. It will be plenty of fun for everyone. Juneteenth is American history. It's a day that we celebrate and remember. It's a day that we look back, but more importantly, a day that we look forward. Join us this June.
Little old Port Wentworth was growing up to be an adult. I know when we were growing up, y'all, Port Wentworth, you just didn't go out there because you knew you would get a ticket, and now they're booming. And so y'all check out that Juneteenth. This will be the second annual Juneteenth celebration at Port Wentworth. So. But okay, Dante, you're first. Trump's campaign manager, how do you get to November, and what are you advising?
So the first thing, well, a couple of things I would advise Trump on. Don't talk about the trial. Don't talk about January 6th. Talk about inflation, talk about the economy, talk about crime, talk about the immigration that's occurring right now. I would, when it comes to Black males, I would focus on entrepreneurship. I would talk about families being torn apart. I would also talk about education. I would talk about the Biden crime bill. I would run that into the ground. Trump has to stay on message. This cannot be about what happened in 2020 election. This can't be about these stupid bogus trials that's going on. He needs to focus on the issues that people care about. As long as he stay on that, keep Biden in a corner, Biden won't be able to hold. Biden can't really speak to the issues that he has really caused this country. So the best thing for Trump to do, stay on message, if you are giving a speech, please, Mr. President, read that speech from the beginning to the end. No ad-libbing, no ad-libbing. Just stay on script, because as soon as you go left, the media is just going to take 15 seconds of what you said and make a headline news out of it and just try to run with it, just like they did with the dictatorship. So just stay on message, talk about the issues that people care about. People are more focused on the economy. People already know what it was like when you were president 4 years ago, so they can't talk about how bad the economy was. They can't talk about stupid wars. They can't talk about you being a dictator, because none of that ever happened. So just stay on what you can do for the future going forward, and you can win this election.
All right, Clinton, you're next up.
Y'all legacy media, nothing but the internet, podcast, the people who have the popularity of the majority. Although legacy media has the abundance when it comes to people over 60, they don't make up the majority of voters anymore. You want the youth. You want people under 60, and they're on the internet. Y'all on Joe Rogan. Y'all on Tucker Carlson. Y'all on X, used to be Twitter. Y'all on Rumble. Y'all on every independent podcaster you think. Do a couple town halls, but have it hosted by these people that were known on the internet, and not these anchors for NBC, CBS, and ABC. Because they're all controlled, they all have the same talking points. Whereas an independent podcaster or YouTuber, they have their own talking points. And they're more in touch with the people than any anchor woman or anchor man on any network. I'm sorry, but cable television, network television, satellite television is obsolete now. I mean, it's obsolete. You can merely pick clips of them all saying the same thing, no matter what station it is. And you've seen that. Number two, play up the felon part. Play it up. Because if you look like a martyr, more people are going to jump into your arena and vote for you. If you're the sacrificial martyr, every American will bust a gut to defend you. If it's one thing Americans love, it's an underdog.
Yeah.
We all love an underdog. Why? I think that goes back to the Revolutionary War when we poured the tea over at the harbor. We love underdogs. Play the felon. They gave it to you, run with it.
Yeah. I think I'd like to combine what both of you said. I would take what you all said, definitely, and then leverage. I would have him basically being the martyr, talking about, you see how they come for us. The system is rigged when you do these things. The system is rigged when you stand alone. I would also employ the powerful surrogates, the Mike Johnsons. All your surrogates in your red states that are solid, let them work those states. Let them work them. And like you said, Clinton, bring out these independent podcasters like what we're doing now, and show up in those independent circuits.
And when you have debates, don't have the debates hosted by network anchor women and anchor men. Have them hosted by podcaster, YouTubers, and Rumble anchors.
Yeah. And that's the part. I think you're right. Cable news is so boxed now. It's podcasts like these that give people raw information to then digest. And to your point, every time he debated Joe, my question would be about inflation, giving away money when we got our own issues, and not standing on the American value, but standing in the backyard of TikTok. Like, if he sticks to those points, it's a no-brainer.
Also, he needs to address the fentanyl epidemic, which is coming through the open borders and is heavily involved in human trafficking and the cartels.
Yeah.
Also, when it comes to it clear that this is not about denying people the opportunity to be an American. This is about stopping criminals coming through the south of the border to kill, kidnap, human traffic, and just outright, bring pandemonium.
That's it.
Also, to that point, Clinton, talk about illegal immigration and how it's going to some of these black areas, taking jobs from them, or sitting in their kids' gymnasium all day long, or even being put in nice hotels where some people can't even afford those hotels.
Well, I agree with you, but I think we should focus on the death first. You know, the people that are being murdered and kidnapped. Then address how it's denying people, you know, schooling, hotel rooms, jobs, etc. Also, we don't have the revenue stream in Social Security, supplemental security income, welfare to support the massive influx of people coming from the South. And we can barely pay for you or I or anyone else who are native born Americans to get Social Security, SSI, welfare, or unemployment. We can't pay for such a mass increase in the population.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Y'all, let's kind of in that same spirit, let me add this video, and it's about the VP choice. We've talked about this before, but let me play this, and then we'll kind of jump in and share our.
We're joined by someone who worked directly with the former president, May Mailman, former Trump attorney, current director of the International Women's Law Center. It's good to see you again, May. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
When you see this list of potential running mates at this event for Trump right now, what name immediately jumps out to you as someone who would both help Trump and win over some voters?
So the name that I see that seems to fit that bill is Tim Scott. That's who I've thought for a while now. A couple of things. One, because of Trump's age, he wants to pick somebody who people can see as presidential, not as vice presidential, but at the same time, not outstage Trump, not be the star of the show. I think that's Tim Scott. He ran for president. It wasn't a successful run, but he didn't fall on his face. And so he's got that. Plus, I do think that Trump is hopeful for the black male vote, at least a larger share of it than last time. And, you know, who knows whether Tim Scott will help with that, but he certainly won't hurt. So he's got a lot of things going for him.
Any other contenders at this point that you're tracking right now?
So, you know, Doug Burgum is personally wealthy, and I think that has to be something that Trump considers because the Trump campaign could certainly use the money. But I really don't see Kristi Noem. Elise Stefanik, I think, is possible, but maybe the person is not even on this list. We've still got a while before the RNC, the convention. And, you know, as long as he's got the pick in before then, that's really all that matters.
You know, I have to ask you about Governor Kristi Noem. In her book, of course, writing about killing her 14-month-old dog Cricket in a gravel pit and then also killing a goat, she says, because it was, quote, nasty and mean and smelled disgusting. She's been posting on X this week. She gave an interview trying to clarify all of this. What are her chances on the ticket at this point? And do you think she was ever a serious contender?
So I don't think she was ever a serious contender because I don't think she brings anyone extra. So anyone who likes Kristi Noem already was going to vote for Trump. This is why Mike Pence was so perfect. Donald Trump had this New York billionaire playboy vibe to him. I mean, still does have that. And Mike Pence brought over a more evangelical, a more Midwestern, a more establishment, traditional conservative. Kristi Noem already is a Trump lackey. She was not going to bring in additional people. Yes, she's a woman, but I don't think that she would necessarily bring in the female vote.
Well, y'all. So I go back with what she just ended with. Why not Condoleezza Rice?
Okay. So I'm sorry. I could be biased because I just think he should pick Nikki Haley at this point. I mean, I know they have a little issues. I think he should just go ahead with Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley can bring over some independents. She'll definitely bring over her supporters. I mean, she would even bring over some moderate Democrats. My mom is a lifelong Democrat, and she was even saying, okay, I can take a look at Nikki Haley. So I think that needs to be put, that Trump really needs to think about that, put a pride to the side. But if it's not Nikki Haley, I'm okay with Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, JD Vance. DeSantis is a hell no for me.
I like Nikki. I will give you this. Nikki has galvanized, regardless of all what people want to say, a bad thing she changed her name, now who doesn't? But Nikki brings in a softer, thoughtful, strong evangelical audience. And she's not hard to work with. No. She is honestly, she even offers more than Mike Pence to me. She offers me somebody that isn't scared to say, sit your ass down. We're going to have this conversation. She's done that. this is why I am a Nikki Haley fan, because she is willing to stand on her own, and even though she's a woman, she's been a woman governor of a Southern conservative state. She's the best choice. What do you think, Clinton?
And honestly, if you go back and watch the Republican presidential debates this year, she was the only one on stage who had an articulate answer for how Republicans should handle abortion. Nobody else did. She had a plan that made sense.
She will eat Kamala Harris alive. Sorry, y'all. She will eat her alive.
But I could take Condoleezza Rice too. I could take Condi.
I want Chelsea Abbott. I'm sorry, I want Chelsea Abbott. I think she would be better than Condoleezza Rice. I'm sorry.
Are you for real?
Yeah, for real.
No, you're not. You're being sarcastic.
I thought he was being sarcastic too.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, y'all, it's not, I don't know. I was going to say someone like a Brian Kemp, but I don't think Brian would accept the offer anyway.
Nah, Brian wouldn't.
Hold on. Save my great governor for 2028. Let him, don't touch Brian Kemp. Georgia loves him. He's doing a good job here in Georgia. Even Democrats love him as well because he's now on the crazy foolishness that some of the extreme Republicans are on. Let's hold Brian Kemp for the future.
Put him on to the side, but yeah, I think
put him off to the side. With all due respect, put him off to the side for now. We're gonna hold that one.
I like the Nikki Haley conversation, and I like Tim Scott as Secretary of State, honestly. And I can see my only problem is when don't get another idiot to run the Department of Education. If anything, just get rid of the department. Don't get.
I think we should get rid of the Department of Education.
Yeah, let's do something.
I'm sorry, but it's a worthless department. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. We should leave it up to the states, number one, and we need to institute school choice. There's no need for public school education. It's failed for 90 years. We keep producing substandard students with high grade point averages, but then they have no practical sense or critical thinking skills. I'm sorry, I've been through the public
practical sense. I love it. But it is dumb and silly.
We need school choice. I mean, it would force the public schools to compete,
Well, and let me compare it to this, you all, because I'm a public school advocate, and I will look at the driver's license thing, right? So we all know how to drive in different states. We all know how to recognize the general signs, but that's a state level issue.
Yeah, schooling should always be a state issue, not a federal government issue.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
And I play with that a lot because honestly, as a state level conversation, you have the choice as a state to do school choice or to do public schools, which I think a lot of times the federal government tries to take and govern everything, even like this whole declassification of marijuana. It's like, let it go. It's a damn plant. Let it go.
The states can decide for themselves. That was the whole point of the United States of America, to allow the states to have some autonomy over how they conduct their everyday life. If we put everything under the federal government, then we are moving into becoming a totalitarian police state. And I don't want that.
Well, and that's why we got all those cameras, so they can see everything you do.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And I'm against that.
Oh yeah, I am too. I just think that's overreach. But so yeah, y'all. Any final thoughts as we reach the end of our hour?
I think Trump is going to raise at least $25 more million.
Well, he's already at 52.
Yeah,
million.
I think it's going to get higher.
My final thoughts. I noticed that Democrats are really trying to get Supreme Court Justice Alito taken off some trials that's coming up. I think it's kind of ridiculous. San Francisco just removed the appeal to heaven flag that they were complaining about that wasn't on his lawn. Interesting, but
that was ridiculous, and that goes back to the Revolutionary days.
Right? They don't even know the history. They just said, "Oh, he had the flag up, so he's supporting the revolution."
Well, it's just damn private property. That's what gets me with that.
That's number one.
What about private property?
Yeah, it's on private property.
Yeah, I'm putting the damn flag was on the ground. It's his private property.
When I see some Confederate flags, I don't like it, but it's not my property. I mean, I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, as long as you don't
I'll put my flag up against it just to compete with it. I mean, shit.
It's this simple. You can be the most hateful person in the world. As long as you don't hurt me, take away my right to vote, and live my life, you can just be the most hateful jackass in the world. I don't care. It's in America, you know. But don't get mad at me when I laugh at you and point. So you know.
Right. Yo, this has been great. We'll be back. We'll be back to you, and we're just gonna see. It's gonna be an interesting cycle of this election season. So buckle up and get ready for the ride.
Get ready for it.
All right, we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you.
like this.